Why hello there, welcome to the Star's End Towers, my first ever attempt to actually grind these. Up until now, in the past, I've only done the normal Star's End, and even that one was like 2 years ago. So needless to say, it's been ages since I actually came here, so I figured coming back, let's actually test the content I never got to try out, the towers, and see if they are worth grinding, if they are profitable enough to compete with the reworked Valencia and Elvia in particular. Spoiler, it's gonna be, in my opinion, a pretty interesting conclusion. That being said, yeah, let's get started, and as always, let's start with my old results and how this area used to perform. This is kind of a joke at this point because I never did the towers, so on April 2020 is the last time I came here. This is the normal Star's End, about 4.2 thousand trash per hour clearing speed on a blue loot scroll, extremely slow probably by today's standards, 160 million silver per hour with today's prices. It's literally garbage, it's trash. Again, it's 2 years ago, I can easily beat this nowadays, but hey, this is our starting point. Fast forwarding to today, nowadays I play Corsair Succession with this gear on the screen. This is what I have to work with. I would say AP wise it's probably above the average Star's End grinder, but it's decent enough. I have full tier 4 pets, so my loot should be maxed out, and I will point out now, before I forget, the towers in my opinion seem to be capped. They spawn the monsters at a certain rate. I don't know if having insane gear actually does anything because my trash per hour was extremely consistent. So probably having 300 AP will give you the same results as having 281. As for where the towers are, as far as I know there are only 3 towers in the entire Star's End location, at least that I was able to find. The first one, let's just say it's the Cliff Tower, it's right here. Probably the most annoying one to grind because I had one instance in one of my hours where I actually fell off the cliff with my Corsair. I have bad memories and let's just say I don't like it anymore. The second tower, let's just call this one the Forest Tower. It's inside the forest right here on the map. And the third tower, let's just say the Stairs Tower. I don't know how it's named officially. It's basically right here and this is my favorite one at the moment. I would say it's also the most contested one, if that matters. I remember hearing from someone, somewhere, at some point, that the Star's End towers are easy to grind. You just sit in one place and kill the waves, so it's extremely easy to watch TV shows in the background, but that only really applies if you have enough DP for that. The tower monsters seem to hit pretty hard. There were quite a couple of instances where I almost died, or even died, which normally shouldn't happen with the normal Star's End monsters, so once again, if it's your first time here, do pay attention to that. From what I was able to observe, the normal monsters don't really deal that much damage. You just have to look out for the spear dudes, the ones that die extremely fast because they seem to be extremely squishy, or the big fat wizards. Those are the only monsters that deal massive damage. Nothing else really to it. I spent 8 hours grinding these, and the only thing I noticed, first, there was one guy who actually asked me for duel for spot, surprisingly, with 3 servers that you can freely swap between, the guild servers. I find it funny that someone actually asks me for duel for spot for the towers, which are not really that great. In 8 hours, I only dropped 2 distortions. Do with that information what you will. I would say it's below average. I got 2 crystals on my wizard. I did 1 hour on the wizard, and everything else just whatever. We can take a look at the Excel spreadsheet. At the end of my 8 hours, as always, I stored the loot in the Calpheon bank with the black magic crystals in the marketplace, and overall, as you can see, you don't really get that many items. Inventory management easy. Everyone knows that about Star's End, so yeah, let's take a look at the conclusion. Long story short, with only 2 distortions in 8 hours, so 1 distortion every 4 hours, 220-ish million silver on a blue loot scroll, 250 on yellow, and 310-ish on blue plus Agris, just low, bad, it's just poop. When I saw these numbers I said, it looks like it's not worth my time. But then again, what if you get 4 distortions distortions in 8 hours. So 1 distortion every 2 hours. Does this make this place better? Kind of, but at this point 320, this barely averages what you get in Valencia. So honestly, in my opinion, if you get 6 distortions in 8 hours, this is the point where this area becomes even worth grinding, which brings me to that interesting conclusion. Should you grind the stars and towers? Unless you can drop a distortion every 1.5 hours, then no. My average trash per hour was about 7,500 on a yellow loot scroll. This is the baseline how I tested the area. If you use a blue loot scroll, it's about 5 or 5,100 trash, or 11.5 on blue plus Agris. I had a couple of hours on Corsair, one on Wizard and some on Guardian. Doesn't matter what class I use, it's always the same-ish trash per hour. I dropped 2 distortions, as I said, 2 crystals, nothing amazing in my opinion. The Caphra drop rate here seems to be pretty consistent, it doesn't fluctuate that much, but the Black Magic crystal drop rate is all over the place. Some hours I had 2 BMCs, in the 4th one I only had 1, in the 5th hour I had 10, so it's quite literally all over the place. I think that pretty much sums up the money per hour here perfectly. In terms of Blackstone drop rates, it's about 100 per hour, but these days they are fairly cheap, so it doesn't even matter. Just remember, unless you drop 1 distortion every 1.5 hours, this area is just not worth the time. You're better off going to Elvia or Valencia. And do let me know in the comments if the trash per hour, the clearing speed, is better on the normal Star's End, the one I didn't visit in 2 years, because if it's anywhere close to the towers, then I don't understand why people even grind this place. For the Agris efficiency, on my 7th hour, as I said, I tested blue plus Agris, so only 1 hour to work with, about 85-ish thousand points per hour is what you're gonna burn if you plan to use them. And let's just say, as you know, this number, the efficiency one, is the most important one. The lower it is, the better. 47,000 is what we have to work with, and I will show you on the screen the Valencia charts and the Elvia chart, kind of ish updated. Long story short, it's worse than those. It's maybe close to Elvia. It's basically the same result as Sikraya, the lower level, the abyssal region, so that's not exactly recommendable. Sure, you can burn Agris here if you want, but you're better off not doing that if you have the choice. In conclusion, Star's End towers are, in my opinion, just bad. It's not really worth the time or the risk. If you don't have good enough DP, there are definitely times where you might slip up and die and maybe break a crystal, in which case, why did you even come here? Unless you drop 1 distortion every 1.5 or at the very least 1 distortion per 2 hours, then this place, just go to Valencia, go to Elvia, it's better than this. Or better yet, go grind the normal Star's End if that one performs any better. And I will leave it at that because I will just repeat my points over and over at this point. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time with a different area, hopefully a better one more profitable. And until then, as always, keep on grinding, stay happy, and I will catch you next time. Bye bye.